All right, so now we're going to get into adding AdSense to your site. But before we do that, I just want to go over a couple AdSense guidelines. I think they're very important to go over. Nobody wants to do something against their terms or get your account banned. So number one, you can put up to 3 ad units per page. You can also use the link units as well. I never really use those. I just stick to the ad units, and again, you can use 3 of those per page. You do not want to use any kind of misleading labels on your ads. So above the ad, don't put like our sponsors or resources. Don't put any kind of labels on your ads other than advertisement, which you probably don't want to do. Never offer anybody compensation for clicking on your ads. Big no-no. Absolutely never click on your own ads. That's pretty self-explanatory, but you never want to click on your own ads. That's a sure way to get your account banned. Never align your ads with images. So don't have an image, then put an ad next to it. That used to be a popular way to get a high click-through rate, but turns out Google actually doesn't want you doing that. You do want to keep content above the fold. So again, in the past, a lot of people would put like 2 big ad units right at the top of the page. So when somebody came to the site, all they could see was ads without scrolling. You don't want to do that. You do want to keep your some of your content above the fold. You can put ads above the fold. Just make sure there's also content there. And just go read the guidelines. I'll put a link under the video to read the guidelines directly from Google. I would say that's required to do. Don't take what I'm saying here as set in stone. Go read it exactly from Google so you know exactly what to do and what not to do. Here's just an example of some placements Google I found on Google's site. This was a little old, but it gives you a good idea of the above the fold. So you see those little kind of black dots across the page. That's kind of showing you what's above the fold. So the one all the way on the right, you can see the only thing above the fold is a big ad. You don't want to use that. The 2 on the left, there's also content above the fold. So that's very important to take note of. You do want to make sure you're keeping content above the fold as well. And then some quick tips for kind of getting the highest click-through rate and getting the most out of AdSense. I always enable text and image, so your ads will show text ads and image ads. The main reason I do that is it opens you up to a lot more advertisers. The more advertisers, of course, the higher likelihood you have of getting paid the most. So I always use text and images. I try to use similar colors to what's on my site. So if your site has a white background, don't throw up a Google AdSense ad that has a black background that's going to stick out. Now, you don't want to blend your ads so much into your site that you can't actually distinguish them from your site, but do use similar colors. It'll definitely help you get a better click-through rate. The formats I like to use the kind of the rectangle 336 by 280 or the 300 by 250, depending on kind of the size of your site and your content. You can choose one of those. Even Google says those get the highest click-through rate, so those are probably the best ones to use. And then I also like to use kind of more of the leaderboard style, the 728 by 90. That's going to depend on how wide your site is. 798 is pretty wide. So a lot of times I'll end up using the 468 by 60. So those are kind of the sizes I use. And now we'll actually go jump over the site and kind of walk through actually putting them on your site. Okay, so we're just over here at the golf swing demo site. So now if I'm going to add ads to this page, again, you want to keep content above the fold. So I don't want to put a big ad unit right under the headline here. I don't want to plop one right here. I want to keep some content first. So again, have some content. Then I'll usually pop in like a 336 by 280 ad here. If you don't have a whole lot of content down the site, putting 3 of those can end up having your site, kind of look a little too much on the ad side. So maybe down here between these 2 paragraphs, I would pop in one of those leaderboards, like the 468 by 60. I do usually like to get the 336 by 280 first, because Google will serve your ads in preference, so the highest paying ones will be at the top. So I like to use that one at the top because, again, even they say it gets the best click-through rate. Now, for actually getting the ads on your site, there's a couple ways to do this. You can use a plugin. So if I jump over here to WordPress, Google actually has a plugin they've developed and you can use. It's called the Google Publisher plugin. So simply you install this, you kind of link it to your AdSense account, and it'll help you put ads right into your site. I personally have not used it. I'm just, kind of like a lot of people, I don't like Google having all my information, so I don't necessarily want to use something like this. There's probably really absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm not trying to scare anyone away, but I'm just kind of one of those people that like to do it myself. So you do have this option. If you're brand new to the game, you've never worked with AdSense, this is probably going to be your easiest way to insert AdSense into your site. So of course you would just go into your site, go to plugins, hit add new, and search for Google Publisher plugin. And then you can simply install it and follow along with their setup. For me personally, I like to just insert them manually. A little bit old school, but that's just how I do it. Again, if you're brand new to the game, I would probably use the Google plugin. It's going to be the easiest route to go. But if you have some experience or you're kind of like myself, I just like to put them in myself. So I'm going to jump over to AdSense and kind of give you an idea of how to set up your ads. All right, so I'm just here inside my AdSense account. Of course, if you don't have one, you're going to have to create one. So the first thing you need to do is click on My Ads up at the top, and then go to Add Units, and you can simply click on New Ad Unit. So then from here, we can start kind of choosing what size we want. So here's our ad sizes. We can use the drop-down box, and I am going to select the 336 by 280. Okay, so you can see I did the 336 by 280. Ad type, I want text and display, because I want text and images. Then if we scroll down the page a little more, we can start kind of modifying the color of it. Okay, so down here you can kind of see the color breakdown. So we have a border, the title, the background, the text, the URL. So again, you're going to want to kind of match these to your site. I like to use a white border because I don't really want a border to show up around it. For title, you can leave that as the blue. That's usually going to match kind of the standard hyperlink color of most sites. For background, again, I'm going to keep that white because I want it to match the white background of my site. Text, I'm going to have black. And then URL, I'm actually going to change to black as well. I can actually change this up here to custom settings. And then I'm going to change the green to black. And that's it. So right here is kind of how the ad will look. So once we have that, we can save and get code right here at the bottom. And then our ad code will pop up. Now I just kind of blurred out some of my specific data. But so I can go ahead and copy and paste this, and we can jump back over to the site. Okay, so once we are on our site, we can go back to our pages. I will just choose the one plane golf swing page. And now I can go in and enter in my AdSense code. So from here, if you're going to enter it in manually, you need to go to text, and then just pick the spot you want your ad to show. So maybe I'll go down a couple lines so I have some content above the fold, and then I'll just hit paste and paste that in. So there you can see I have it pasted in here. Again, I kind of just blocked it out so I'm not giving away my account number. But that's all you got to do. You got to make sure you're on text, hit paste, and then I would probably go a little farther down and put another one in, or repeat the process doing one that's 426 or the 468 by 60, I believe, were the dimensions. Now, again, if you're not comfortable working with code or doing any of this, again, I would just go use the Google plugin. They make it very easy. They have a good tutorial, and kind of add your content or your ads in that way. But again, if you're going to manually put them in, you have to be in the text mode, hit paste, update your site, and then it'll take a while for them to kind of register, and then they'll show. So I'll give these a second to register, and then I'll come back here and show you exactly how I did my placement. Okay, so actually instead of just waiting for those to load, I actually just went and grabbed images of the ads from Google so I could pop them in here and give you an idea. So if we scroll down, so here's how it looked. There is content above the fold. It's not just an ad, so that's great. Then we have an ad here. This is a 336 by 280. Because it's their picture, it has the green link and a border. Usually I would have those clear. This one I put so the text went around it, which I've usually found does help with the click-through rate. So I have one ad at the top, then you have more content, you have a video, you have another paragraph, and then there's another ad. And this one doesn't have the content wrapped, just another 336 by 280. And then I have some more content, 2 paragraphs, and then one of those leaderboard ones, the 468 by 60, and then that's the end of the content. So you can see the ads fit in there very nicely. There's plenty of content between the ads. As people read down the article, they have multiple opportunities to click on an ad. I have a couple different sizes, which will attract different advertisers if they're using different sizes. But overall, that's how I like to put my AdSense on the page. I don't get overly aggressive with it. I try to mix them into the content. Don't have them stacked one on top of the other. Again, I like to sometimes put the content around it. If you're putting content around it, maybe you want to leave the border on there to make sure it stands out and distinguishes itself, whether Google likes that or not. And then as you kind of scroll down, there's a video, another ad, a bunch more content, and then finally a third ad. So I have 3 ads on the page, 2 different sizes. So that is how I add my AdSense to my pages. So you'll want to go ahead, start adding ads to your pages. Make sure you read through the Google guidelines before you do that. Make sure everything's okay with your site. Make sure you're doing it correctly. Remember, only 3 per page, but that's the layout I like to have with my ads. I think it flows very nicely, very clean. Again, they're spread out with a lot of content between them. So it doesn't look like I'm just simply serving up a page of ads. So go ahead, get your ads onto your site, and we'll move on to the next video.